And we're back for our first official episode. This is BGMT. I'm Kenitra.
I'm Adebusula.
And we'll be chatting today about a topic that goes near and dear to both of our hearts. And our question to ourselves and our community is, are we African enough? So I know in the last episode, I did introduce myself as a Nigerian American. And me, I am Cape Verdean American, mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff, but we'll get into that later. But we're going to talk about specifically us and our identity with our African cultures as well as our American identity. So we're going to get right into it. Alright, Brian, go ahead.
So I grew up in a Nigerian home. Both of my parents were born and raised in Nigeria. A Nigerian, and I was born in America, and I loved being raised in my culture. Like, I didn't see anything wrong with it until I went out talking to people about turtleneck, because I thought that's how turtleneck was pronounced. Because my mom would say turtleneck, so I was just like, yeah, oh, I like your turtleneck. She's like, what's a turtleneck? I'm like, a turtleneck? I'm like, yeah, turtleneck. I had no idea that's what it was called. So it was that deep. Like, my mom would be cooking in her big old pot outside of my backyard. So my house was like a little village, because my parents always been, were open to bringing people into their home, whether it's to stay the night or whatever. So I'm very deeply embedded in my culture. I've been to Nigeria myself also. I loved it. Yeah.
And as for me, being Cape Verdean, I'm a little bit more disconnected from it because I only have one parent who has Cape Verdean lineage. And also, I don't speak the language, but I still enjoy a lot of the culture and I embrace it. It's a part of who I am, big or small, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have a lot of that, but for me, it was a lot of struggle between how do I represent this culture and also be a part of it when I'm missing such a large part of it as well. It was always my struggle, like, how am I going to be African enough? And then being Cape Verdean, of all places, there's also that big struggle about, okay, I'm getting right into it. Cape Verdeans are black. We're not about to argue about this. We're not about to debate. Black, right? And I've always been super pro-black. My grandmother was pro-black. My grandfather was pro-black. My mom is the blackest light-skinned person you ever meet in your life. And it was a solid embrace of the culture, but then you have that part of it too, the struggle of, okay, how you are going to go hard for this culture when this culture has an issue with you. You know what I'm saying? Because I am a dark-skinned woman, always have been, and whenever I say I'm Cape Verdean to people, it's either a question or they're like, well, what else? It's like, why does it have to be, what else? You know what I'm saying? Like, why does it have to be? And then, like, there's so many things, like, within the culture I don't know about because of the disconnect there, and it's just like, where our struggle is the same as, like, where do we put our African culture and where do we put our American culture? Right?
Exactly.
That's the hardest part for me, like, because there's some parts that I'm like, listen, y'all Americans, y'all tripping. But, like, even my family, because my family is mostly American born and based in America, but, like, there's also that part that's like, all right, y'all still very much islanders. So it's like, for me, it was always like, okay, where does that come in? And where does the way I grew up come in? Because also, like I said, from the South, and like, the way that you're raised in the South is very much on brand with African, cultures, because it's not as free for all as, or liberal, however you want to say it, as people, up here. Because we live in Massachusetts. And, listen, as somebody who's lived in both places, the black people down south and the black people up north are not the same. Not the same. And I think up here, in terms of being African, it's easier to express your African culture up here because it's the norm to be not just black American. You know what I'm saying? Versus down south, where it's like, if you're black but not black American, it's kind of like, You know what I'm saying? Like it's different now, because there's a lot of people, especially Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians down south now, like coming in. A lot of Atlanta, is a lot of Nigerians, and it's like it's nice to see those two cultures kind of blend together and be accepted both ways. But it's still hard for us, the children of all this, to be like, all right, well, where does culture come in, and where does our societal norms come in? Like that's our biggest struggle. So that's what this conversation is all about.
My personal biggest struggle is my language. My family speaks Yoruba, right? And I understand it fluently. Like, I even understand different dialects. So, like, it becomes a problem for me, like, when I talk to a lot of different Nigerians who are born in Nigeria, and, like, they're very surprised. Like, they start speaking Yoruba, and they think that I don't understand because I'm talking like I'm talking. I don't have an accent and stuff. So they don't expect me to understand it. It's either they insult me, or they ask me, do you know what I just said? And I'm like, yeah, I do understand what you said. And that aside, me speaking it, like, always felt embarrassed to speak it because people would laugh whenever I said something in Yoruba, and that literally brought my self-esteem with speaking my language all the way down. So it's just like, because I don't speak it, like, some people are just like, how do you understand it and you don't speak it? Like,
You know what I'm saying?
And I understand that, but it's just like, I sound foolish speaking it, and you guys I always hear the laughter, and like, I even laugh at myself. I'm just like, don't do it to yourself. Like, you sound like a buffoon right now. Stop. But like, I never had that confidence to speak my language fluently, but I can speak it. Like, in my head, I can speak it fluently, and I can understand what you're saying to me fluently. But that's where the divide is. It's just like, I'm not Yoruba enough to speak my own. Am I Yoruba enough to speak my language? Like, some people, even some people who were born in other countries, not just Nigerians that were born in other countries, they're just like, oh, were you born here? I'm like, yeah. Like, I tell them I'm Nigerian, they're like, were you born here? I'm like, yeah, I was born here. Oh, you're not Nigerian. You're not really Nigerian. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that gets me so mad, and it makes me feel like, okay, I already know that I'm not whole American. Like, I'm partly Nigerian because I've lived in a Nigerian home. Like, my parents raised us like straight up Nigerians. They didn't have any of the, like, they mostly spoke Yoruba to me. They speak English to me, but mostly they spoke Yoruba to me. That's why I understand it fluently. And it's just like, I feel like I'm not American enough, and I feel like I'm not Nigerian enough. Like, it just makes me feel so incomplete sometimes. So
yeah, I agree. And then, like, for me, like, being Cape Verdean, which is, for those who don't know, because not everybody is from New England, so you all do not know, probably. Not everybody knows what Cape Verdean is, so I forgot that part to tell you.
Yeah,
But
sure.
Cape Verdean culture, so it's from Cape Verde, which is off of the west coast of Africa. It's like 300 or something miles off the coast of Senegal. It's an African country, that is true, but there's a lot of confusion about what we should identify as, because our culture is heavily influenced by Portugal, who colonized Cape Verde back in the 1400s. So the culture itself is very mixed together. And a lot of the culture is based on Portugal. For example, the official language is Portuguese, and then you have Creole, which is like the language you speak at the house, but then you speak like Portuguese in public, whatever. But for me, it's always like, people, if they do find them Cape Verdean, and they kind of push the Portuguese thing on me. You know what I'm saying? I don't identify at all as Portuguese. I know a lot about the culture, and I know, the words y'all be saying, but like, if you ask me about Portugal, like, I don't feel any connection to it.
What do you mean they force Portuguese?
So I'll explain. Like, so if you're Cape Verdean, well, in my experience, like, and I identify as an African black Cape Verdean, and then people are like, oh no, but you got Portuguese. Like, like, adding that, like, but you got that good, like, it's always seen as better to have that European influence. I don't accept it at all. I'm like, y'all can keep that. Like, I'm, like, not to, like, disrespect the culture itself, but I don't feel that I should, accept and claim that part of my bloodline simply because of the history. You know what I'm saying? It was not
so
a pretty
you accept
history.
that, okay, I am partially,
Absolutely.
but I don't respect how I became.
How it happened.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, for me, regardless, I was destined to be a black woman, right? So why Why make it? Why would it not be good enough to just be a black African woman? Why do I have to accept this Portuguese part that comes from a very dark history of? Chances are it was rape. Chances are it was forced upon the women to be with these Portuguese men, or the other way around, or whatever, and make this culture of people. I love everything about my people, but what I won't do is claim a people that does not claim me. I'm not with it, you know. So, and that's my personal opinion. You guys do not have to agree with me. If you Cape Verdean, you have a different opinion, please let me know. Because I like to have this conversation. No, I like to have this conversation with other Cape Verdeans, because you remember that huge video that came out a few years ago?
Yeah, it was like Charlestown.
Yeah, and like the girl was sitting here looking just like us, talking about, I'm Portuguese. I don't know what you're talking about. Since, yeah, Portuguese infused, but I wouldn't say flat out, because if I went to Portugal claiming, oh, I'm just as Portuguese as y'all, to be kikiing, okay? But this is just our everyday struggle of putting together who we are as women, especially if it's super important for you because you have a baby, you know what I mean? And you have to teach him about his culture, and that's going to be a challenge, because it's like you still have to figure out where you lie in those lines of culture. As do I. When I have kids, I'm going to have to explain to them like about my culture and how sometimes people might feel ways about them claiming that heritage when they probably won't look how they're expected to look.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so.
Yeah, that bouncing off what she said about, my son, he's not whole Nigerian, he's half Nigerian, half Haitian. So, yeah, I'm going to tell him all the good things about, being Nigerian and everything, but then I also have to teach him about his Haitian side, which I'm pretty sure his father can do too, because he's a proud Haitian.
Nope.
And like,
shout out to Kev.
so like I think he's in good hands, because it took me up until 23. It took me 23 years to figure out, everything about being a Nigerian, and I'm still learning more. I still have a lot to learn, and I'm more than willing to teach him about who he is. I'm excited too, because he comes from two very strong backgrounds. So, I'm excited. It's just like, I remember struggling a lot with with identifying as a Nigerian, because I knew I was Nigerian, but this person who's born in Nigeria doesn't look at me as a Nigerian. They look at me as an American. This person who's born in America doesn't look at me as an American. They look at me as a Nigerian. So it's like, I know that no one else should be able to define who you are, but as a young kid, like, hearing all those things really discouraged me. I was so confused. One day I'll wear a headband, one day I'll wear a snapback, and it's okay to do all those things, but I was struggling with who I was struggling with how to dress. It impacted a lot of different, I had to think about what I could bring to school for snacks or not. If I should bring a Nigerian snack, if everybody's gonna say that it smells, or you know what I mean, like, or should I bring my Lunchables? Like, I wasn't sure what to bring, because I love my chin chin, I love my puff puff, but is it gonna get soggy by the time it gets to school? Like, I had to figure it all out, and there's nothing wrong.
Get claimed for bringing fish for lunch, like.
And I love my fish.
Hello. I'm not gonna hold you. I brought fish for lunch the other day, and I was like, they was looking at me crazy, and I'm just like it was bomb. I mean, pastel, it was bomb, and I had it with rice, and everybody was looking at me crazy. But you know what? That was a moment where I was straight up like, so, this is culture.
Yeah, and I have to, I learned that I have to just wear my Nigerianness confidently.
Yeah.
So, if you ever feel like, are you African enough? Are you whatever enough? Black enough? Just ask yourself all those defining questions. Like, you need to love yourself. You need to embrace your culture. That's where you're from. You can't erase it.
Yeah, it is what it is. And also, just know you're not in it alone. Because clearly you see us, and we're 23. We still don't got it all figured out, and we're still trying to figure out where the line lies between where we're at and where we're from. So.
And where we're going.
Oh yeah, because that's just as important. Well, let us know what you guys think of this. If you guys have ever had this conversation with your friends or your family, and let us know. We're going to put it in the comments. We'll leave everything that you guys can follow us on: Facebook, Instagram, the whole 9. It will all be in the description box. And you've been BGMT. Peace out.
See ya.